Imagine waking up in a hospital expecting care and recovery, only to find yourself trapped in a burning building, struggling for air as thick smoke fills the halls. That's exactly what happened on January 26, 2018, when a devastating fire broke out at Sejong Hospital in South Korea. Patients and staff were caught in a nightmare, with no clear way out. But what caused the fire? And how could a hospital, meant to save lives, be so dangerously vulnerable? This is the story of the Miryang hospital fire. South Korea has one of the fastest aging populations in the world. A lot of elderly people choose to live in nursing hospitals where they can get round-the-clock care. It's not just about comfort, it's about survival. One of those places was Sejong Hospital. Back in 2008, the Hyoseong Medical Foundation set up Sejong Hospital and Sejong Nursing Hospital, two facilities that were practically joined at the hip. Sejong Hospital was the bigger, general hospital, while the nursing hospital catered to long-term patients. Between them, they had around 200 beds and a medical staff of 27. For years, they took care of the elderly, the sick, and those with nowhere else to go. But then, one day, everything changed, and the building that had once been a place of healing turned into a nightmare. It was just a regular morning at Sejong Hospital on January 26, 2018. Doctors and nurses were moving through their routines, checking on patients, adjusting IVs, and preparing for the day ahead. Everything seemed normal until at 7:35 a.m., a fire broke out in the emergency room on the first floor. At that moment, 2 doctors and 9 nurses were inside, completely unaware that the building was about to turn into a nightmare. In the main hospital, over 100 patients rested in their rooms, while 94 more were in a nearby nursing home. But as soon as the nurses spotted the flames, panic set in. They bolted up to the second floor, shouting down the hall, "Fire, fire!" urging everyone to get out. But getting out wasn't that simple. When they reached the stairway, it was already swallowed by thick black smoke. The air was heavy, impossible to breathe, and they could barely see their own hands in front of them. Chaos erupted. People tripped over each other, scrambling in confusion, desperate to escape. The screams echoed through the halls as the smoke seeped into every corner of the building. Sejong Hospital wasn't just any hospital. It was a place for elderly patients and those with breathing problems. That meant many were too weak to run, and for some, just inhaling the smoke was deadly. Patients who could still move had no choice but to push forward, stepping through flames and suffocating smoke, hoping to find a way out. The fire started on the first floor, but it didn't stay there. Within moments, the entire level was destroyed, and the flames climbed up the main staircase, sending smoke billowing through every floor. Outside, the sky darkened as thick clouds of smoke filled the air. The sun itself seemed to disappear behind the disaster unfolding inside. The flames didn't slow down, and neither did the smoke. It climbed higher and higher, stretching into the sky for everyone in the neighborhood to see. This wasn't some hidden fire in a back alley. This was happening right in the heart of the city, near the train station, where thousands pass by every day. The streets filled with people, some frozen in shock, others frantic, desperate to do something. Voices rang out, filled with panic and urgency. What can we do? The crowd kept growing as more and more people rushed to the scene, hoping somehow to help. One of them was Jong Dong-hwa. Without hesitation, he jumped into action, rescuing 10 people who were trapped on the 5th floor. His brother-in-law and sister-in-law weren't far behind, helping people escape from the 3rd floor. They weren't firefighters, just regular people who saw the flames and couldn't stand by and do nothing. Firefighters got there fast, but it was already too late for 25 people. Most of them had been on the first 2 floors, right where the fire hit the hardest. The smoke was so thick it choked the air, making it almost impossible to even get close. From a distance, the hospital looked like something out of a nightmare. Flames pouring from windows, black smoke swallowing the sky. The fire was so intense it completely blocked the entrance to the emergency room, trapping people inside and making it a nightmare for firefighters to break through. They had no choice but to focus on containing the flames on the 2nd floor. But the way the hospital was built, facing the street but stretching far back, meant they had to climb ladders just to reach the upper floors. Inside, it was chaos. Smoke filled every inch of the building, making it hard to see and hard to breathe. People were trapped, coughing, gasping for air, desperately trying to find a way out. Some patients couldn't even move on their own, stuck in their hospital beds as the fire closed in. Firefighters fought through the heat and smoke, carrying out those who couldn't walk, pulling people from rooms before it was too late. They managed to bring 15 patients from the intensive care unit on the 3rd floor down to safety. Hospital staff did what they could, wrapping patients in blankets, while rescuers rushed them to ambulances on stretchers. Those who could walk on their own used ladders and special plastic slides the firefighters set up. It wasn't an easy escape. Elderly patients and others, still in their hospital gowns, had to be carefully guided down, gripping onto the firefighters for support. Outside, the chaos didn't stop. Families gathered, pacing back and forth, desperate for any news about their loved ones. Helicopters hovered above, fire trucks from all over the city raced in, and sirens screamed into the night. It took firefighters 3 long hours to finally put out the fire. By then, the first 2 floors of the 6-story hospital were completely destroyed. It was a hard battle, but thankfully, all 94 elderly residents in the nursing ward made it out safely. Some of them had to be carried out by firefighters, which just goes to show how intense the situation was. But even with all the rescues, the tragedy was devastating. 41 lives were lost, and 153 people were injured. Among them were a doctor, a nurse, and a nurse's assistant. Most of the victims were elderly, over 70 years old. Dozens of the injured were rushed to other hospitals, but sadly, many didn't make it. Outside, at a funeral home right next to the hospital, a handwritten list of names and hospital rooms covered the walls. Families crowded around, desperately scanning the list, hoping to find their loved ones. The disaster sent shockwaves all the way up to the highest levels of government. The South Korean president immediately called an emergency meeting, ordering officials to do everything they could to help the displaced patients. Leaders from both ruling and opposition parties arrived at the scene, offering condolences to the families and demanding answers. Politicians made their stances clear. The Democratic Party focused on making sure every available resource was used for rescue and recovery efforts. The Liberty Korea Party made it clear there could be no mistakes in handling the aftermath. The People's Party spokesperson, Lee Haeng-ja, spoke about the overwhelming sorrow, especially with the people of Jecheon still mourning a devastating fire from just a month earlier. Even after the flames had died out, firefighters stayed on site, refusing to leave until they were sure they had done everything they could. They set up a base in a nearby bank, while volunteers from the Korean Red Cross moved through the crowd, handing out hot drinks, water, and ramen to anyone in need. The city was still in shock, and small gestures like these meant everything. Inside the charred remains of the hospital, investigators suited up in protective gear and masks, spending the entire day combing through the wreckage, trying to piece together what went wrong. Early signs pointed to a short circuit in the emergency room's heating and cooling system. Police and forensic teams, covered head to toe in white protective suits, masks, and helmets, worked carefully, searching for anything that could explain how this tragedy unfolded. The head of the hospital admitted that there were no sprinklers in the building, but not because they were negligent. Legally, the hospital wasn't required to have them. Fire officials confirmed that at the time, the building was too small to fall under the law that mandated sprinklers, but change was coming. A new law had been passed, requiring hospitals to install sprinklers by the end of June. Choi Man-woo, one of the fire officials, said they were investigating whether the hospital had skipped any safety inspections. The head of the hospital, however, insisted they had followed all regulations. But if it turned out that safety failures contributed to the fire, both the hospital and local officials were going to be under serious public scrutiny. This wasn't the first time South Korea had faced outrage over a tragic disaster. The 2014 ferry disaster, where over 300 people lost their lives, exposed massive safety failures, negligent crew, an overloaded ship, and corruption among the ship's owners. That tragedy shook the country and played a big role in the downfall of then-President Park Geun-hye. The anger over how it was handled fueled protests that ultimately led to her removal from office. Her successor, Moon Jae-in, promised to make the country safer, But his presidency was now marked by a series of devastating fires. After this fire, he called an emergency meeting with his top advisors, trying to figure out the next steps. The Prime Minister also stepped in, ordering an investigation to uncover the cause of the fire and make sure families got the answers they needed. During his visit to Miryang, the Prime Minister voiced his frustration, questioning how so much damage could happen so quickly. He brought up the Jeshian fire from the previous month, reminding everyone of the promises made after that tragedy. In the end, the owner and manager of the building were arrested for serious safety violations, including the lack of a working sprinkler system. The news called it the deadliest fire in South Korea in years. But beyond the numbers and investigations, this fire was yet another painful reminder that deep safety issues still existed. And for the families who lost loved ones, no arrests or new laws could bring them back. Did you find this video interesting? Give it a like and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you will stay updated on new videos about remarkable fire disasters. Also, click the bell icon so you don't miss a single video. What did you think of this story? Let us know in the comments below. We would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you in our next video.